Hey, what's going on, Brick Squad? Welcome back to another video, and as promised today, guys, I'm going to be taking you all on a tour through my custom UCS LEGO Star Wars Kessel Run Millennium Falcon, which obviously comes from the Solo: A Star Wars Story film, which actually released a little under a year ago at the time of this filming. Now, there is a lot to go over about this Falcon, so first off, let's go ahead and get some logistics out of the way. This is not a completely custom design. In fact, I based this model off of the official UCS Millennium Falcon LEGO set, the big one, so a lot of the stuff's going to be similar. It's actually going to be a little bit of an easier process than a lot of you might have thought. Now, in terms of build time, this build took me around 40 hours, but that does include obviously switching out a lot of the parts and of course including some awesome brick stuff lights, which I will get to towards the end of today's video. Now, I originally embarked on building this UCS Kessel Run Millennium Falcon to go with my Kessel mock, which actually will be debuting tomorrow, Saturday. The finale will be dropping, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But obviously the Kessel Run Falcon is a very iconic thing in the Kessel Run, hence why the Falcon is named the Kessel Run Millennium Falcon. So I really tried my best to make sure that I homed in on the details in the right areas, obviously making sure that I combine the right combinations of white, light gray, some dark gray, and obviously those really iconic blue hints throughout the Falcon, and most importantly making sure I get that front escape pod to make it look like the variation of the Kessel Falcon compared to the original trilogy one. Now, the most important thing when it came to actually decorating the exterior for me was obviously those blue hints, and while the blue textures on the Falcon are not movie accurate, I placed them in spots that I think actually made sense to me and the ways that it actually look the best in my opinion. Now, because the Falcon is loosely based off of the actual set, a lot of the functionality when it comes to the panels come off like the set does. You guys can see here the actual underbelly of a lot of the panels are still based off of the LEGO UCS set, meaning that I didn't have to replace those colors with white or gray, but then on the top, obviously when I'm going through the instructions, I did have to replace a lot of the parts with those white and gray pieces to make it look accurate. But as you guys can see here, the functionality in terms of how the panels go on and off and how they're built overall is exactly the same. Like I said before, it's going through the instructions, making sure that you kind of look ahead and see where the white pieces are going to be going and where you can see them being visible. Here is another example of that. The top gunner position is going to be built the exact same way, again just recoloring the majority of the parts that you see on top, but then again once you see the underbelly and the interior of that area, you can see that the tan and blue and all the non-Kessel colors are still being used. Again, that's because it's loosely based off of the set itself, so it's really not that terrible to build. However, it was a really big pain to just have to look forward in the manual when it came to that kind of stuff. Now, unfortunately, with this UCS model, there is no interior for a couple of reasons. Number one, the actual Falcon interior doesn't match up with the exterior like it does in the movie, which is kind of weird. And number two, most promptly, because I had to find somewhere to wire all the wires for the brick stuff lights throughout the actual Falcon itself, and I guess even for another reason, it got kind of costly and expensive to redo rooms, so I decided to skip on that. Here is another example of how actually really easy it is to make this Falcon. Again, it's just covering the exterior dark bluish gray or light bluish gray parts and just rearranging them in a white manner. You guys can see here with the docking bay on the side of the Falcon, which goes for the same on the other side. The interior is completely 100% the same as the instructions tell you to. It's just more so recreating and replicating the white and gray to make it look like the actual Kessel Run Falcon, and then obviously taking some creative liberties when it comes to placing small, exact, fine-tuned details. And again, to kind of represent how easy the Falcon is and how comparably similar it is to the actual set, you guys can see the panels come off correctly, and that hallway leading from the main belly of the Falcon to the cockpit comes off exactly the same, revealing again a one-for-one copy of the interior Technic design. So again, it's super easy to build, which is great, and honestly this is a big reason why I decided to go throughout this route instead of completely designing my own build. Now here we have some shots of the underbelly of the Falcon. Again, it's mostly just a simple recoloration, swapping all the grays for whites. The landing gear was obviously done the same way, obviously making sure that it does stay consistent with the Kessel colors of the Falcon itself with light bluish gray and white. Now, one of the biggest concerns about the Falcon is going to be the cockpit, and you guys can see hopefully you guys have not seen this before. This is because this was actually a custom job that one of my good friends referred me to someone to actually do. His name is OK Brickworks. I'll leave a link down below in the description. Basically, he was actually able to completely custom design and print decals to go over the actual Falcon sticker itself, so that way I didn't have to go with the brick built version of the cockpit, which I'm not a fan of, nor did I have to actually kind of go out of my way and find some crazy convoluted method for making the cockpit. So this thing came out fantastic. I think it's really great finally having a Lego piece, a single Lego piece, as opposed to a brick built cockpit, which looks fantastic. It is worth noting about my specific model of the Kessel Falcon that it is not nearly 100% accurate to the film, and that's because I took some creative liberties when actually designing it and just kind of seeing what works best. Like, for instance, instance, I kept the pipes going on the top of the hallway of the cockpit. I kept a lot of other creative liberties because I think it looks great, and most notably, there are no holes in the Kessel Falcon like here. However, to me, I think that looked great, and it was also a nice little nod to the original trilogy one. So I do want to make it clear that is not 100% accurate to the actual film. And last but not least of the Falcon, my favorite part has got to be the lights. The Brickstuff lights. Brickstuff sponsored this build, so I got to give a huge thank you to Rob from Brickstuff. Definitely go ahead and check out his site. But the lights give this sort of unrealistic but also very extremely realistic look when it comes to Lego. There's some awesome lights in the cockpit, especially on that little dashboard right there. The lights really just make this whole thing come together in a way that I cannot explain, and I think it's just something, a little word of advice to anybody who's making a mock: add custom lights in it, because it literally makes your mock 1,000 times more enjoyable and more fun to look at. That is my favorite part of this mock overall. Alrighty guys, that's going to wrap up the review of my custom Kessel Run Millennium Falcon UCS sized. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. For those of you who did stick with me throughout the majority of that build process, you know that building that behemoth was definitely a task. And I do want to say this and put this out there, that I know that there is a couple of other UCS Kessel designs out there. I do want to give a huge shout out to Loose Bricks, who's actually the first one that I know who did it and helped me along with the process. I do want you guys to know that I do not think that mine is the best by any means. I think if I wasn't a full-time student, if I did have a reliable source of income, I think I definitely could have done more with the Falcon, but for what I was going for and for what I had to work with, I am 110% happy with how it came out. So I do want to thank you guys for all your kind words and support. Definitely go check out some awesome posts on my Instagram, link down below in the description, at TheBrickWiz. Couple of quick things before we head out today. Number one, I do have the LDD file of the Falcon built in Lego Digital Designer. Now, I have decided that I will be selling the LDD file for $5 only. Now, the reason why it's so cheap is because I don't have instructions. Now, I do want to say that the instructions, guys, they're free to use. You can find them at the Lego website. You can find them anywhere you can. They're just the UCS Falcon instructions. As I said before in the video, the majority of the build process was looking through the instructions and just swapping out pieces with white pieces. That's all it is, guys. So I know a lot of you are probably going to ask, where are the custom instructions? Guys, there are no instructions. It's super easy. And then obviously for that front part, you guys can just look at the LDD file for those of you who do choose to buy it from me. Again, for $5 only. I'm trying to kind of get some more money back into the bank for not only funding the Falcon, but also to fund more projects that are to come. So if you guys are interested in buying the LDD file for, again, only $5, just send me an email. It's going to be right here on your screen, also in the pinned comment down below. Again, only $5, guys. It's not really a terrible price at all. And for the instructions, it's free to use on the Lego website, so you don't have to worry about that either. And the second and last thing to discuss, guys, tomorrow is going to be the Kessel finale. Kessel is 99.9% done, just a few finishing touches. All the figures should be coming in hopefully today or tomorrow. So again, guys, that finale is coming tomorrow, which is great. You guys will obviously see the Falcon in its full form on Kessel with all the asset pools, the details, the minifigures. It's going to be fantastic, so make sure you guys stay tuned. And for those of you who are not subscribed, you have no idea what I'm talking about, feel free to click that subscribe button down below to stay up to date with my videos, and of course check out some past Kessel videos while you're waiting for the finale to come tomorrow. So guys, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all so much for all your incredible support. My channel has been doing really well recently, and I do want to give a huge quick shout out to everyone who has donated on my live streams. I've gotten a crazy influx of donations recently, which is fantastic. I love that you guys are willing to contribute to my process here. So once again, guys, thank you so much sincerely, and stay tuned tomorrow for the finale, and I will see you all later. Peace.